Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. Here we are, it's about 3 o'clock, the 2nd of March, Sunday, 33 degrees and 34 degrees, so it's a couple degrees centigrade. Here we are, exciting day, no. It was supposed to snow today actually, and suddenly the snow went from 18 inches to 12 inches to 6 to 12 inches to 3 to 6 inches down to a dusting to 1 inch. I like a dusting to 1 inch because I already have plenty of snow out here. By the way, if anybody wants it, they can come pick it up. I have no use for it, so please feel free to come take my snow. Anyway, with that, I've been kind of spending a little time in the basement. I finished cleaning up this fender, and through the viewfinder the fender looks better than it actually is, but it did clean up. That green paint that was around this side, that was a bear to get off of. I mean, one had to polish the heck out of that to get that off. I also kind of, this area you can see it's kind of got a little bit of a gloss to it. I used this stuff. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it. How does one say that? McGuire's, I guess. Anyway, Plastex, clear plastic cleaner and polish. Removes cloudiness, yellowing, oxidation, and fine scratches. Great for headlights. And actually, the YouTube video, I saw somebody using this stuff. They were using it on headlights, and it did a really nice job. And then I made note of that, and you know, there it was sitting in my small mind. And I was over to Harbor Freight, and I had a 25% off coupon, and sure enough, it was right there on the shelf. I seem to remember it costing like $10.99 or something like that. So it's kind of nice to get like $3 off. I always like that. Homie likes to save money, so that's what I used, and it does seem to help. I'm having a kind of a tough time. I don't know. Maybe with that you can kind of see a little shine to it there, right? A little reflection. So that helps. But if you also look closely, and I think you can see some of this, right? It's got a little bit of staining, which actually, in a way, this is from the rack. It's from this thing. But it actually kind of looks pretty cool. I can't do anything with that scratch. By the time, I guess you guys could see that, by the time I polish that scratch out, I'm more or less buffed the hole right through the fender. And I really don't want to do that. Also, where it's located here, you really don't want to thin this down because one could end up snapping the fender off, especially if you hit it, right? Put a lot of stress right there. So those are the fenders, just to show you what they used to look like. They were a lot worse than that, obviously, right? So they're cleaning up nicely. I took the strip off of it. The strip, right? That's still downstairs. Probably this guy. I'll probably do a cut right along here, right? Kind of smooth it out nicely, and then let me back up a little so you can see the whole thing. You know, trim it back a little bit, right? And then make that one match. Problem I'm having is this is the piece of plastic that was broken off the back, and I could get it to match really pretty good over there, and it matches to about the midway point. One-handed man, right? Me and Tommy Shoe, right? You could see it matches to the midway point, and then it's completely cattywampus here, or I can kind of get it to kind of work there, and then it's all cattywampus. And that's after, you know, while I was downstairs, I kind of put this near the wood stove and warmed it up a little bit. Right, it's pretty up here at 34 degrees. As I'm bending it, I'm afraid to take it beyond the yield point and break it. So I'm going to have to futz with that a little bit more. to get this whole thing to work. You guys could see how high that goes. I would really, you know, I could kind of, see, I could get the center to work and then the two sides don't work. Or I could get one side and almost to the halfway point, right? And then this side doesn't work. So I guess what I'm going to have to do is heat it up to the point where it's yielding fairly well, and then kind of, you know, compromise it in. If I get the two ends to kind of go on, I have a gap right here. So obviously it broke in more than one respect. I guess that's why a lot of people use the tie wraps. And what you could do with tie wraps is you can kind of start on one side and pull it in and pull it in and pull it in, you know, until gradually it's in place, more or less. I guess between the tie wraps yielding, which means between here and here, there'd be some yield, and at the same time you're also kind of pulling them so that they reshape and look a little bit more like each other. Anyway, so the joy of playing with plastic, right? I am going to reuse this fender, you know, in one's mind. Oh wow, I'm restoring a bike. Do I even want to futz with the fender? But the thing is, I kind of want to restore the bike, but have it kind of have some of its battle scars. I guess a good example of this is like what Musty One is doing with his single cab there, right? He's really keeping the battle scars on that thing. He's even keeping the rust. He's just stabilizing the rust with wax so that it doesn't keep going. By the way, if anybody watches my channel and they don't watch Musty One, you should go check out what he's doing with that Volkswagen. He literally took something that was dragged out of a field, dragged out of the mud, dragged out of a junkyard, and he's bringing it back to life. And it's those single cabs are actually pretty cool. I've in my lifetime only seen like a handful of them, and by a handful I mean probably less than 5, closer to 3, right? The three-fingered man handful. I just haven't seen too many of them, but they're really pretty cool. And if you actually look at the structural work he's doing, they're pretty solid underneath, given the double frames and the way they have it all put together. It's actually a fairly solid rig. If I ever find one for the right price, even facing retirement and a shortage of funds, I'm going to have to own one, because that is just a way cool vehicle. And they're also capable of carrying a 1/2 to 3/4 of a ton with a nice open deck like that. I mean, what a natural for going out and bringing these things home. Eh? He's also setting it up with a winch in a cooler, so that all he has to do is slam a couple of ramps against it, hook up the electric winch, and basically do a little bit of steering, and he drags whatever he wants to put on the back of it up there. Way cool. And for some of us that are over 25 years old, a hell of a lot easier on the back, huh? As you play with these toys and as you put the years on, you got to figure out ways of making your life easier, whether it's a lift or a winch or ramps instead of picking things up. You know, one has to learn to kind of give up the stupid things and work a little smarter. When you're young and strong, you could get away with things, but as you get older, you just can't get away with that stuff anymore. You got to be a little more careful. Anyway, this is probably about as far as I'm gonna get for today. I was asked a question about welders. Sometimes I remember questions, sometimes I can't remember my own name, and these are the two that I'm currently using. And I think I called it a Sonatec. That one there is actually a Silver Beauty. And I actually have the gas bottle and all to go with that. and obviously next to it is Harbor Freight, one of those $89 wonders. When it comes to welding, I don't know if you want to call it classic training. I learned how to weld in metal shop when I was in high school. And that's the only... Well, actually, then I took a BOCES class. I took a BOCES class on welding, the first BOCES class. So basically, I learned how to stick weld, your basic Lincoln tombstone stick welding. And one of the reasons why I ended up taking that BOCES class is because I thought I upgraded my welder. I bought a Lincoln tombstone that's AC, DC, positive DC, negative DC, so you could do all those fancy things. And I'd be welding, and the welds would just, sit on top of the metal, or I keep turning the power up and they'd blow into the metal. So I either made a hole or got no penetration, and I was going crazy with it. And then I got a old Lincoln tombstone that I saved from the junkyard. The one I saved from the junkyard, I brought home and tried out, and I'm like welding really good on it, and I'm like, man, what the hell is wrong with me? So I took the welding class, and after taking the welding class and talking to the instructor, I figured out that I probably bought a defective welder. It came from Northern Tools. It was one of those on sale things, and it's a real Lincoln. I mean, it's all red. Next time I'm in the lower garage, I can show it to you. But probably I'm only getting half of the power. Your typical AC is, a sine wave. I'm probably only getting one side of it, right? So as I'm welding, right, weld. So the weld cools off, right? I'm only getting half the power I'm thinking. And when I turn up the current, then it's like smash, smash, smash. So that's probably the problem it has. I've never opened it up. In the meantime, I got the Harbor Freight over there. I got that on sale. I think I had a coupon on it. They always go on sale for $89, and I was aware of that, but I bought it quick, so I have the feeling I had a coupon to get it for $79. So I bought it for $79, and that's the second one. The first one was blue. Some of you guys might have the blue one out there. And the blue one gave me trouble feeding. I started having trouble with the feed. So I returned the blue one. I bought the 2-year on it, figuring I was just trying this thing out. And I used to watch Peppercat Keith's videos, and he actually had the everything's fallen. He actually had that I want to call it a hose. It's not the wire that the wire feeds through, the electrode the wire feeds through. He actually had it melt and burn through in the middle. So after seeing that on one of his videos, I made sure I got the warranty. So I had the first one, the blue one, for its full 2 years, right? 1 year, 11 months, 15 days or something like that. And when I was having trouble with it feeding, and I had been having that trouble for a while, I brought it back and traded it in on that black one. The blue one, I kind of always had the feeling that it was going to go back, so I was pretty rough on it. But the feed issues, they were kind of right from the beginning. It was always temperamental. So I ran it, I beat it, and when it was time, it went back, and I got that one. And that one I've been much more happy with. That one is a little different than the blue one. Like if there's a bunch of wire sticking out, you can't just strike it and cut it off. You don't get any power to the welding head unless you push the button. So at the same time you have power to the welding head, the wire is also feeding. So you actually have to carry the pliers and keep your wire trimmed with the black one. But it works well. That Silver Beauty, that was a flea market deal. It came with the cylinder, the regulator, the whole bit. I got that thing in a box of tools. I think he wanted, what did he want? I think he wanted $125 for the welder and $50 for the box of tools, and I ended up walking away with all of it for like $100 or $115. I ended up talking to the guy, and he instantly threw me a price that, you know, I saw the prices he was asking for him, and as a matter of fact, if that thing is down, I probably still have the tape with the price on it. But I remember looking at the prices and kind of fumbling with the toolbox and doing a little calculation to what it was worth to me. And then looking at the welder and figuring, well, if I want to buy a tank is going to cost me, you know, $50 or $75, and I really should get a tank because I have another Lincoln welder in the basement. That's another MIG that needs a tank, and I was kind of going back and forth. And when he threw the number at me, the number was so surprising that I ended up buying it. So I picked up the toolbox and that thing. It was probably, call it $125, give or take a little bit. That I picked it up. Have I used it? No. So. Right, might as well hoard welders as I'm hoarding everything else. Anyway, that's about it. I'll let you go. I've been babbling for 15 minutes. So this thing is making progress. We have another one of those Arctic vortexes or freaking cold wave or whatever the hell you want to call it coming our way, and parental guidance. I don't like it cold. I just really don't like it cold. And I'm realizing how much I don't like it cold, that I have to make other arrangements if I'm going to work on this stuff. I can't be freezing my ass off all the time. So I gotta set myself up with a heated garage of some sort. And by the way, now that I'm thinking of getting heat up here and all, I'd kind of wish that I had made arrangements for windows on the doors, you know, to be in here with the heat and sealing myself up, right? I'll have no clue if anybody's outside unless, once again, I set up a camera or something, and I might just have to do that for when I'm in here. I'm not the paranoid type, but I just as soon not have anybody outside listening to me, especially if I'm making one of these videos and me not being aware that they're there. Don't need to be snuck up on by the building inspector or anybody. So I just as soon, if he shows up, especially if I have electricity and heat in here, which is not allowed without building permits, that I best not open the door, right? I'll keep the doors closed, and if I notice him, obviously I won't answer it. Right? No use getting those kind of tickets. Okay, guys, I'm going to run, guys and gals. Remember to keep your feet, your tracks, your tires down, your handlebars, your head, your steering wheel up. Live, love, and have a great time. We'll catch you on the next episode of The Hoard. Remember, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for subscribing. Please keep doing all the above. Bye now.